Welcome. I'm Dr. Owen Anderson, and I'm excited today to talk with Arizona State Senator Anthony Kern about some of what's been going on in his committee that's looking at the state universities, but also he has big news since we talked to him last. I'm going to let him tell us. Thanks for being here, Senator Kern.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I'm going to be, I announced yesterday running for Congressional District 8, which is just recently vacated by Congresswoman Debbie Lesko.
Yeah.
And I am one of four that are jumping in the race right now. I think the others have filed, but it's going to be between four people.
Okay. Yeah, good. And I'm expecting that'll have some interesting debates between the four of you, or how does that work?
Yeah, interesting debates. I'll have boots on the ground. They might have a little more money than I do, but we're raising money. The biggest thing I have is the hard work and the effort put behind it.
Yeah.
And a couple of caveats in the race. I mean, two of the people that have recently filed do not even live in the district. One lives in Tucson, one lives in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
So, I prefer to have homegrown candidates, which I am one. And then there's possibly a fourth candidate jumping in that's also in the district.
Okay. Yeah, that seems really important because you know the district, you know the people you're representing, and able to take those issues. You've already been doing this at the state level, so then that'll let
Yes.
you do it at the federal level.
Yep. And that's a great point, Dr. Anderson. I have the experience. People know what they get when they vote for me. I'm a fighter. I'm a conservative, fiscal hawk. I believe in the Constitution, liberty, securing our borders, all of the above. And I have a proven track record to show that. So, the others don't. So, you know what you're going to get with me.
Yeah.
You're flipping the coin when you choose somebody else. So,
well, and I always think that you can tell a lot about a person by what their opponents attack them on. And so I've experienced that myself. What radical professors will attack me about, but I've seen that with you, and the things that people attack you on, it's always sidetracking the issue. So it's very telling when they don't debate the issues with you, but instead they pick something else to attack you on. And
sure.
I think that shows that the opponents they can't debate issues.
Right. Well, yeah. And for whatever reason, people love to attack and, like you said, kind of divert from the actual issues. The media is real good at it. I go on social media. There's all kinds of people, all kinds of trolls out there saying whatever.
Yeah.
Anywhere from negative stuff. I choose to try to keep it positive as much as possible.
Yeah.
That is my goal in this campaign. I'm going to run on my record and who I am. I recently, actually a couple of years ago, I received a 97 from the American Conservative Union in my votes for legislation at the Arizona Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've received 100% rating from the Arizona Free Enterprise Club.
Well, and also, didn't you get an award like the Friend of the Taxpayer Award or something?
Yeah, right. Friend of the Taxpayer Award, the Liberty Award, which I didn't put on. Yeah, and I mean, again, what you're going to get. I was raised with 13 brothers and sisters.
Really?
In Central. Yeah, a small farm. We had to use an outhouse for a while.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, we had lived on a farm, and I wouldn't change that for anything. But that's what made me into the man that I am today. My dad, mom had a great investment in me, and all 13 of us. They brought me up in Jesus Christ. They brought me up to sound moral values and America loving patriots. So I have those deep within me.
Well, that's something you and I have connected on, is the importance of Christianity and your church commitment. You're working your church, so you have all that proven track record also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that's where you and I have become connected, is especially because of things that happened at ASU with respect to Christians and conservatives being able to speak up. And so because of that, you're on a joint committee that is looking into free speech at the state universities. And for everyone watching, we did a previous interview, if you want to go see that, about our first hearing. And at that hearing, ASU was given 60 days to write a report, an investigation about its protections of conservatives having free speech. And so now we have that report, and there will be a second hearing. And so that's what we're talking about here, especially is give us an update. What's going to happen? What do you think of the report? And what are some questions you want to ask ASU?
Sure. So the report is the usual whitewashing of of fact and truth. It's typical. It was expected. It's kind of like the fox watching the hen house. You've got ASU doing their own. They hired an attorney because of all that happened with the T.W. Lewis Center, the Health, Wealth, and Happiness event that was held back in February of this year. So they, after the first hearing, ASU decided to investigate and see what if any wrongdoings were done. Well, they found no wrongdoing. Okay. And so we all know, all of your listeners, and probably 80% of America knows the kind of atmosphere that we have at our state universities across the nation, not just ASU, U of A, or NAU. It's across the nation. So, to bring a report back and give it to the state Senate is almost an insult. So we have asked the attorney that they hired. We have asked for the actual records and the report that he gave the ASU with zero redactions. We're probably not going to get that.
Oh, really?
It's probably, we're probably not going to get that unless we actually
What would
subpoena
the
it.
reason be? Oh, I was going to say, I mean, how can they say no to a Senate committee?
Well, they'll say no because it is attorney-client
Oh,
privilege.
yeah.
And so they're going to say no to that unless we actually issue a subpoena. We cannot issue any subpoenas till January, till we go back into session.
Okay.
So right now, we're just going to vote on recommendations. The next hearing we have, we're trying to get a date set. We were going to have it November 13th. As you know, we've rescheduled a few times. It's hard to get everybody back. Yeah, a lot of people. I know T.W. Lewis wanted to speak on November 13th. He had that day open, so that's why we picked that day.
Okay.
I really want him to be there. I really want you to be there and to be there. So we're trying to coordinate with everybody. We couldn't have a couple of members said they could not make the November 13th date. And but we hope to vote on the issue. We hope to make recommendations to and to the committee and move forward.
All right, good. Yeah, because I mean, what's at stake is simply being able to be a conservative or a Christian, or in Dennis Prager's case, Jewish, and not be insulted by faculty at the state university. That seems so simple.
It's simple, but they don't want that because of what Dennis Prager said. In 45 minutes, he can destroy 4 years of their lunacy. So, what I want to say this, Dr. Anderson, is that you being at ASU is a breath of fresh air. It's a ray of light in a cesspool of just a complete mess. So thank you for being there. I know you're taking a lot of targets, and I really believe it is true, and how you can survive in an atmosphere like that is speaks a lot to your fight and you're wanting to do the right thing. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. And honestly, what I think about are the students, which are, because state universities are so important because we need affordable universities for Arizona's parents and students. And that's what a state university represents. And so I think about the students. I think I'm the one conservative guy on my campus. What if I wasn't there? They would get no diversity of opinions at all.
Yeah, but yet they say that they're, the number one or the top rated university for free speech in the nation. I guess there's a couple rating systems out there that rated them high. That's all just fluff. Again, your listeners know that free speech at any university can be squelched if you don't agree with what the leftists and the faculty want. And that was what was so important. You mentioned the students, Dr. Anderson. The students were intimidated. The conservative students at ASU are intimidated to speak out because they feel like they're going to be the only one. But it's leaders like you, leaders like Ann Atkinson, T.W. Lewis, leaders like Dennis Prager, myself. We're going to continue this until ASU sees the light.
Well, that's what we have to do. Yeah.
Right. I think the only way they're going to see the light is if we ask the donors to pull some funding, and we ask the state. Yeah.
That's what we've seen this last 3 weeks because of what happened in Israel. We've seen donors across the nation say, we're not going to put up with this. The leftist comedian, Bill Maher, who's on HBO, and he's very well known for being far left. He came out after these university protests in favor of Hamas, and he said, don't go to an Ivy League university. They make you stupid. That's his quote. And he's far left. Yeah. Well, I think that the fact that donors are saying, "Hey, we've had enough. We're pulling our money,"
Good.
is getting
That's
people's attention. And I think that's how it
yeah,
has to be. It comes down to the
absolutely.
money.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great. You speak with your money. You
Yeah.
know, there's several places I don't go anymore. I don't buy their drinks. I don't buy their items. Several companies out there that I
Yeah.
refuse. And you saw what happened out there on Bud Light.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
they're speaking, and
Yeah.
so speak with your money.
Well, and I think that, people, ASU West recently renamed itself ASU West Valley. And just to represent that it's for the whole West Valley, which is great. We do serve the whole West
Yeah,
Valley, but you know what?
sure.
A lot of people in the West Valley are conservatives and they're
Yep,
Christians, and they want
yep.
their children to have access to an education that isn't, and minimally, it's just not going to insult those things. Isn't that a low
Right.
bar?
That's a very low bar. And, I mean, my recommendation would be I would either, I would be very, very leery if putting a child into any state university at this point. There are some good, lights in ASU, like yourself, like the Freedom School. We've dubbed the Freedom School. And I think there's one other, you know, uh, um,
Yeah.
college within ASU that is good. But other than that, most of it's just garbage. And be very careful on where you send your child to.
Well, and it's probably because we've lost the ability to debate. And so coming back around to that as our topic,
Yeah,
when ASU
yeah,
gets ranked high for free speech, I noticed there's some common miscommunications or misunderstandings,
yeah,
misconceptions about free
yeah,
speech.
yeah.
One is the idea that you can say whatever you want whenever you want. So, for example, saying that Dennis Prager is a white nationalist bigot, they'll say, well, that's free speech. And it is, I mean, you're free to have that opinion, but that's not the
Yep.
same as having a respectable debate where you say, hey, I
Right,
disagree with Dennis Prager about these political issues. And
right,
what's sad is that those are getting lumped into the same thing, so that when ASU defends itself, it says, well, our faculty have the right to say whatever they want. Yeah, I guess. But all they're doing is insulting people they disagree with. And what does that teach our students?
right. Well, the faculty have a right to say anything they want. That's true to a point. So, as a state senator, I have to be careful about what I say because the media will pick it right up and twist it around and turn it. If you're a professor at ASU, you have your beliefs, but you should. It's like a judge. You need to be neutral because
Yeah.
the class that you're teaching, you have influence, and the class that you're teaching, they're young, impressionable minds, and so you need to be very careful on how you respond politically and your political beliefs, and be very careful on promoting that into your classroom. What happened with these 39 faculty members that signed this protest letter going after Charlie Kirk, Dennis Prager, Robert Kiyosaki, Ann Atkinson. What happened there is they signed a faculty letter, 39 of them. They wanted to keep it private, and they wanted to shut it down, and they wanted to intimidate students.
Yeah.
So they were using school resources. Number one,
That's the thing. Yeah.
they're they're intimidating students. Students know that their grades are going to be affected if they speak out and debate their
Yeah.
faculty.
Yep.
And so it's just a very bad atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, you even had
Well,
faculty standing outside the event
yeah.
watching which students went in and went out. So
Yeah. Well, and
that's
what it
insanity.
seems like the model for these professors is activism. They view themselves as social justice activists rather than
Yep.
as teachers. Do you think, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about, like, how did that happen? How do we get to a point where the majority of our humanities professors view it as their job to make their students into radical leftists?
Yeah.
What could be done
Because
about that?
well, what can be done about that? I think you should we need to begin to again pull the funding. That'll wake them up. I would say discipline needs to be done to the 39 faculty members that signed that letter. I think using school resources, that's breaking the law. But again, ASU's report was nothing to see here. There needs to be discipline, some consequences for faculty doing that. What can be done? We need to. I wouldn't put my kids in ASU. I wouldn't put my kids in a public school at this point. There are a lot of good public school teachers. There are a lot of good faculty at ASU, such as yourself. But and you made the comment, you're probably the only one there. Well, who's hiring these leftists, and where are they coming from?
Mhm.
So it's just a huge giant that we've got to fight, and we got to be willing to have the backbone
Yeah.
to fight this fight. And
Yeah.
really, it's a multi-pronged approach to bring it back. But talk to your kids at home, teach
Yeah.
them teach them civics, teach them our foundation of America, our biblical heritage, you know, the price that we paid to end slavery. We are not a white nationalist nation. We do not have a systemic racism. That's all hogwash and garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've got to stand up and speak truth and have spine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a multi-pronged approach. And you know, that's why, again, I
Yep.
appreciate you, Dr.
Yeah.
Anderson,
Well, thank you.
being there. You know, sometimes your target can be so big on you. You put yourself out there so far, like yourself, that the target's so big and you have so much influence that they're afraid to go after you.
Yeah.
And I believe that's where you're at and where
Well,
I'm at.
and a lot of times though, and you've experienced this as well, there's ways they can do repercussions, like they don't give you a raise or they don't give you certain benefits that other people get. So those haven't happened yet. I'm keeping an eye on
Yeah.
it. But there's soft ways they can do things that can't be measured, like the way they
Right.
treat you at a meeting,
Right.
things like that, where you can't really measure that or show that in a
No.
court case, but it's clearly you're
Right.
being ostracized. And so I have been going
Right.
through a
Well,
lot of that.
yeah. Well, think of how the students feel.
Yeah.
You're sitting in a class, you disagree with everything they're saying, but you can't speak out because you're afraid that if you do, you're going to be labeled, you're going to be chastised, your grades are going to low. And these kids, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on these degrees,
Mm-hmm.
and they're scared to death. You know, they come to me personally. They come to Ann Atkin personally. You know, you're in the environment. They're out there, and I think there's hundreds of them,
Yeah.
but they're afraid to speak out. And that's why I appreciate Charlie Kirk, Dennis Prager, and you mentioned debate. We don't want to shut them down.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the thing.
honestly,
Yep.
these pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel people, they have a right to do that. I'm not trying to shut them down. I think it's lunacy that you would promote an absolute murderer or murderous regime, but they have a right to do that because this is America.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to shut us down.
Yeah.
And that's where we disagree. We're not trying to shut them down. They are trying to shut us down.
Yeah. Any kind of conservatives are immediately insulted and then dismissed. And then they said things like, you know, the students might have trauma and they can provide trauma counseling after having Dennis Prager on campus. So I mean, yeah, that's not debating, that's insulting. So I think what you said was perfect. Parents raising your children, teaching your children the right thing, and parents knowing what's going on. Because as you know, I started a Substack, Dr. Owen Anderson. And the reason for it was I realized I keep bumping into parents who will ask me if they should send their kids to ASU. And I realized parents in the West Valley don't know what's going on. And when they find out, almost universally, they're shocked. When I tell people this is what's going on, they say, I can't believe that's happening at ASU West. And so that's why I have my Substack, is we need to be informed about the things that are going on.
Yeah, we need to be informed about what's going on, and it is going to start at the parent level. It's going to start at you know, again, parents, rethink your strategy of putting kids in at ASU. And once the attendance starts dropping, it's going to wake them up because, you know, with every student they have there's more money in their pockets. My goal in life is to change to be the man of God that God has called me to be. My goal in life is to live the life that is biblical, and one day, knowing that one day I will stand before the King of the universe, Jesus Christ, and give an account for the doors that He's opened in my life, and that's who I am.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's a great way to wrap it up, since we started with that, coming back to your candidacy and your faith in the Lord Jesus Christ and wanting to have representatives that will do the right thing. And so thank you for doing that, because I know it's a lot. There's a lot of personal suffering involved in running for office. So thanks for putting yourself out there and being willing to do that.
Well, and ditto, Dr. Anderson. Yeah, I mean, I know you and I have tried to schedule this for a few weeks now. I appreciate your patience.
Oh, no problem.
But you know, you're fighting too, and you're a man of God. You're a religious professor, religious studies professor at ASU. Yeah, I mean, that is probably worse than where I'm at, because you're in the complete cesspool. Where I'm in like a semi swamp, but you're in a complete cesspool. And thank God for you.
We could trade stories someday, I'm sure. But yeah, thanks again. Thanks for being willing to talk today. And I think I'll keep everyone updated on our hearing, the next hearing, and then we'll hopefully get a chance to follow up afterwards.
There you go. Anytime. I'm here anytime. Thank you, Doctor.